Hey everyone, I'm Rachel,
And I'm Jen, and welcome to Devilish Bookworms, the podcast.
where we read and review books and release episodes every Tuesday.
This week we have Life After the Arising by Bryan Way.
Yay!
We have all thought about what we would do if we were ever thrust into the zombie apocalypse. Where would we go? How would we keep our families safe? What would we take with us? And what could we afford to lose? For 19-year-old Jeff Gray, this proves to be more than just a hypothetical question when he attends an event at the local high school and finds himself face to face with one of humanity's greatest fears. Get ready as we put Jeff's passion to the test and learn how to survive a zombie apocalypse.
Dun dun dun.
So, Rachel, what did you think of this book?
So, before we go into what I thought about this book, I feel as though I need to explain why I sound like I was gargling glass and why our episode is late. I'm sorry, everyone, but I was wicked sick. There's not much more explanation than that, but I actually, what's funny is I always kind of liked whenever I got sick and I got a weird voice because like I don't know, I feel like I sound like a 12-year-old girl, and like when it's all raspy and dumb, it kind of sounds like Sophia Bush. I mean, like not, but like kind of.
So I had muted myself for a second so I could take a sip of my water, and you literally got me choking when you said like a 12-year-old girl.
I mean, it's not entirely wrong. And what's
No.
funny is you actually, when you're sick, you sound like a 50-year-old man.
Oh, I do. I sound like I've smoked 1,000 packs of cigarettes in one day. It's awful.
Oh, Lord. Okay. So this book, I was actually really excited to read it because of the fact that so we've been thread friends with Bryan for pretty much since we started, I think, like a year ago, which is crazy to think about. Um, but so we've seen his book, right? And his is one we always go back to the books that we wanted to read or have wanted to read, but for some reason just have not made it onto the podcast yet. And I feel like this is for sure one of those. Like, I am actually not really a zombie person. Like, I've only ever seen like one of the Resident Evils. I don't know which one it was.
What?
It was the one where her like friend came back as Frankenstein or whatever and like whooped her ass. Did you see that one?
I've seen all the Resident Evils.
Okay, do you remember the one where her friend comes back and whoops her ass?
Yes. Yes, I
That
do.
one.
I think it was the third one, to be honest with you.
And you know what's so funny is like, so my brother and I watched that when we were younger, like high school, like when we were younger. And we loved it, right? But we never ever like tried to look at the other ones. I think my brother has since watched them all, but like I didn't. I just think of that one as being perfection, and then I just kind of like go about my day.
Bruh, no, Umbrella Corp. Oh, fucking love it. Absolute. That was like the movie of all movies for me to watch as a kid because it was like my dad hated me watching those type of movies. My sister wasn't really a fan of those type of movies, and well, my mother, she, I don't know, but
Anyway,
yeah. But anyways, so it was just like it was one of those movies that I shouldn't have been allowed to watch, and then I was allowed to watch it, and then I fucking got all hyped up and really liked them. But I've seen Shaun of the Dead, I've seen uh all the Resident Evils. There was another, I think it was called 21 Days, if I remember correctly, is
yeah,
a
and like
another
21 days later.
yeah. So I've seen so many different zombie movies, it's not even funny. It so the fucked up thing is I've never seen Zombieland from start to finish ever.
Oh,
That's the only zombie movie that I was like, I can do without this.
you know what's funny is like of that list. I'm sorry, everyone, if I clear my throat on here. It's I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to make myself audible. Brought to you by Audible. No, I'm just kidding. We're too poor for advertisements. Out of that whole list, I have seen Zombieland. And then I have seen Shaun of the Dead, but that's pretty much because Simon Pegg is a freaking genius.
Okay.
And Nick Frost, I swear. Um, but anywho's, okay, so you are a zombie girl.
I wouldn't say that I would love to be around zombies, but I don't mind
Oh no.
watching them. I absolutely love killing them on Call of Duty as well. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm not a big I mean I'm sure we all know I'm not a big video game person, but it makes sense that since you love Resident Evil so much, you also love the video game.
Yeah, I also had the Resident Evil video game for, I think it was Wii. Sorry. Okay, I'm done geeking for a second.
Oh my goodness. You know, I think to bring it around to like the quintessential zombie thing, did you ever watch Walking Dead?
Nope.
So like I started it and I watched the first couple seasons, but like I mean it's wicked repetitive, right? And then
Mhm.
I learned that Jeffrey Dean Morgan was on there and I I'm a big fan. So anyway, so, so I skipped like 5 seasons or something just so that I could watch just so that I could watch his character. And then the first episode that he's in, he kills someone in the most horrific way. And I was like, I don't know if I could do this.
Oh my God.
So I never finished it.
Yeah. Well, I can't say I've seen more than a single episode of that, maybe two at max.
I mean, you're not
It's,
missing anything.
I didn't think so, but I mean, everybody hypes it up so much, and I'm like, you know me, I don't like to go with the flow per se when it comes to watching TV shows because it's usually not as great, or even some books. Like,
You're like, oh, more than 3 people like it. I'm never reading it or watching it.
no, it's not that, but like everybody went up in roar over A Court of Thorn and Roses, and I fucking couldn't stand it. I everybody already knows my opinion on it. Anyways,
I feel like it
uh
was just this generation's Twilight, to be honest.
I think so, but it's just like it wasn't my thing. So when I saw everybody like ranting and raving over that, I was like, meh, I'm okay. Just like I know you're gonna kill me for this one, but the Charlie with the Harley guy, that show,
What?
the Charlie with the Harley,
Oh,
the biker
um,
guy.
yeah. Oh my God. My brain is mashed potatoes. Charlie with the Harley.
It's the only way I can actually remember it.
What
But
is it called?
oh God.
It's got Charlie Hunnam in it and Katie Seagal.
Yeah, you always try to get me to watch it too.
I do try and get you to watch it all the time. Um,
I tried.
my brain's not working.
Oh, hold on.
Do you know how many people are probably screaming at us via the
I
phone right
know.
now or like our podcast? Um,
What?
hey Siri, what's the show with Charlie Hunnam and Katie Seagal? Sons of Anarchy.
That's the one. I feel so stupid. Oh,
Anywho's, so
yeah.
yeah, no, you did not. I don't know why you didn't like that one.
I tried so hard. I couldn't even get like 5 episodes in. It just, there's something about like if something is overhyped and then it's like it falls flat, like especially in the beginning, like you have to get me that first season. If you don't, you're fucked. Like True Blood, it got me the first episode. Okay.
Yeah, that's because Eric Northman is a snack.
Well, and on top of that, Lafayette, like,
Oh my God.
oh, he was amazing.
He could talk me into anything.
Yeah, I mean, I know what did he say? I know damn well uh every man, whether uh gay, straight, or George motherfucking Bush, is terrified of the pussy. Oh, love that man. Anyways,
Oh
so,
my gosh.
so I felt like same with zombie movies and zombie shows and all that. Like you have to get me like right away. If you don't, I'm done. Like it's over. So I thought it was a really interesting way to start this book off with a newspaper clipping about a zombie apocalypse that was saved in Jeff's wallet.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, huh, okay. So is and then I get a little bit further and then we're like, bam. I'm like thinking drumline moments. I'm like, okay, ba, 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 da, 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 da. Sorry.
Drumline.
Yes, I thought of drumline instantly. You got the bands all lining up to play in the stadium and do all their motions and everything. Oh yeah, that was so drumline.
I feel it.
So when I started seeing that, I was like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden you get zombies start running in from one side, and this one kid's like, hey, do you see that? Do you see what's going on there? And no,
Yeah.
everybody's like, whatever, dude.
Can we just talk about how I'm pretty sure more than one person would have noticed them?
Yeah, no shit. And the
Like
one,
hundreds of them are come crawling out of the cemetery, and I'm like, how is Jeff the only one that sees this?
and of course, when he's pointing it out to some girl, she's like, yeah, whatever. Like, ah. And then the cop's like, okay, buddy, like,
He's like, you're
slow
being a
down.
weirdo.
And then all of a sudden the cop's dead. I'm like, oh shit. Okay, that's how we're gonna start this.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. Um, so I will say first, so Jeff Gray is in college and he is like he's an author, right? And he writes zombie books, which I thought was such a brilliant thing to do for Bryan because like there were some times when he was writing the story and you could tell that what he was writing was something that he had thought as his own, like as him. I mean, obviously, because that's how books are written, but like he would put something like, I never really thought about how much you would have to consider how people would have to be able to go to the bathroom, and it was stuff that
Mm.
he was writing with Jeff's voice, but you could totally tell that when Bryan went to go sit down and write it, he was like, all right, now how would we think about this?
But a lot of those points that he was making were so accurate because, as the saying goes, like, you don't know what you're truly missing until it's gone. It's
Yeah.
like during COVID, when COVID first hit, we all thought it was great that we got to stay home. But then we had a curfew, like we were little kids again. We weren't able to go see our friends or family or anything like that. We missed out on births. We had to see a lot of people die or not even be able to see them die or even bury them the way that we normally would be able to. So like taking those concepts and placing it into the book was just like it was a really great idea because of the fact that you really don't know exactly what's going to happen until it happens, and you can't plan for something like that. It's totally unpredictable, and so is life. But a zombie apocalypse, no, that's definitely unpredictable.
And you know what I thought was cool was like, so there were some times where so I think that the book in general was very cerebral, right? I think that it was very, he touches on a lot of different topics. Some I will probably talk about later on. But like theology, he talked about ethics, he talked about,
Mhm.
like, I mean, they're raiding a gun store and they're like, should we take all of it? No, because what if someone comes behind us later and needs some, and it's like stuff that you'd hope that you would think about, but like wouldn't necessarily. There was a lot that was put in there. And like there was one, I will admit. So there was one where I was kind of like, I don't know if I just wasn't on board with like the topic, which, and of course, like I said before, books are not catered to me. So like it's okay if I didn't like something. But there was one where a character is asked if they missed a certain character. And it was like, well, do you miss the character, or do you miss the person, or do you miss like having the person around? Like, do you miss them for who they are, or do you miss them because they existed? I don't know. There was a whole lot going on. And that was one where I was like, I tap out. Like, what is going on? But there were a lot of like, you know, fighting and zombie hacking and all of this, but there were also a lot of really like cerebral kind of like make you think points.
Oh, absolutely. And even back to when you were talking about them raiding the gun shop, there was a gentleman that was deceased on the floor, and they were like, should we take the money out of his pockets and put it on the counter? And it's like, it was a moment of like, that's really nice that you would think about that, but like, come on, that's kind of fucking stupid. Why are you gonna leave money laying around when you might need it later? But
Yeah.
at the same time, it just begs the question of what would you do in that situation? But at the same time, you can't even answer that because of the fact you won't know what you're going to do until you're in that situation.
And
So,
that actually brings up a really huge point of something that comes on way, and I'm jumping completely to like, you know, way far into the book, is if you have your little bunker, if you have a group of people, you know, do you let someone in to save their life, or do you keep them out to protect your people that you already have? Which is something that is brought up a couple times.
yeah.
I want to talk about something that you don't want to talk about.
Okay.
It makes me very happy when we have differing opinions on the books.
It does. I know it does.
And so I completely understand where you're coming from in your opinion of the book, but can you please dive into your reading experience with the book?
So, when I first was getting into this, I was actually really excited. Obviously, zombies, zombie apocalypse,
Yay.
violence. Like that, I've been craving violence for I don't even know how long. Yeah, I've been saying it on
Violence.
every episode. I crave violence. Anyways, so like I got the violence that I wanted, but there was so much that was kind of like dragged out that really didn't need to be there. Now, hear me out. And I'm sorry that I'm really stuffy. My allergies are kicking my behind right now. Um,
Y'all, we're a mess. I'm sick AF. Jen just has the worst allergies. Ugh, my
yeah,
computer decided to explode today. There's a lot going on.
there is. That's our life though.
It's my life.
So when I was reading, and let's take it from the gun part. All right, they're in the gun store, they're collecting guns. I really didn't need to know how many bullets go into a 9 millimeter gun or a 38 caliber or a uh I don't even know what else. I could
Mhm.
care less about how many bullets go into each gun and how many bullets they had per gun, or even which guns they actually had, to be
Oh my
honest
God,
with
I'm so
you.
sorry. I know that you're on a roll, but like, have you ever seen Clue with Tim Curry?
Oh,
They're
like a
talking
long
about
ass time ago.
they're sitting there and they're talking about the gun and how many shots it should have left. And they're like, two plus two plus one plus one. And they're like, no, two plus one plus one plus two.
I
I'm
think
sorry.
it's a great idea to count your shots. Like you should know how many bullets your gun has. But
Mhm.
when I'm reading a book, I could care less how many it has.
Yeah.
Now, like so let's take this from another angle. Deadpool. There was the point where he was on the bridge and he was like, oh shit, I forgot the gun, all the other guns. I have 6 bullets. Count with me. Now that was a clever way to do it. I love that because he was able to get 2 with 1
2 plus
bullet,
1
blah
plus
blah.
1 plus 2.
But it was just like one of those things where like it just wasn't necessary, so it kind of dragged out the book. And there was other instances of this, like them eating breakfast and which tea he was getting, and it just there was, again, like I said, some things that were just not needed. So when it started to drag out like that, I started to get a little bored. And
Mhm.
it wasn't from lack of liking the book. I liked the book, but it was just the fact I was starting to lose interest in beyond all the unnecessary details.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
I agree with you on one point. There was one point in the book where they were talking about how they were reinforcing something. And that was the only part, because when we were talking about the books, or the bullets, the reason why I liked that bit was because it's something that you don't think about unless you're in a zombie apocalypse. I mean, well, I'm not like a gun person, So like I don't really know those things. But if you
Right.
were in like in that situation, you would need to know. And so it was kind of cool. And it was also kind of cool to like obviously see how much, um, research was done into it and whatever. Um, but there was one part, and it was probably like 3/4 of the way inside the book, and they were talking about reinforcing something, and I was like, "Holy Jesus Christ! I can't even picture the building anymore. I don't even know where we are. Which building are we in?"
Yeah, that there was a point where they were going from one building to another building, and I got confused at which building they were actually in at that point.
Yes, dude. Okay, like obviously no spoilers, but at the end when they're like going back
Yes.
and forth between the school and the center, and I was like, but it's not that he didn't spell it out. He did spell it out. He spelled everything out, which
Yes, he did.
for the most part I didn't hate. But that bit at the end, it was almost like it was bouncing back and forth so much that I was kind of like, I didn't even realize that we weren't back at the high school.
Right. I have to agree because I had that same issue. I was like, wait, what happened? Wait,
Yeah.
let me just go back and reread this. There was a couple of times I had to go back and reread it, but it was a lot of detail. It was a lot of detail. So if you missed one thing, you literally missed a lot. And so
You know where it got me the most actually?
what got you caught up?
So it was the dialogue. So
Okay.
there were some bits where they had huge chunks of dialogue, not in like a clump, right? Like, because sometimes when you're reading a book and you have like a paragraph with 20 sentences in it, and it's just a huge chunk of dialogue, you're like, holy crap, this is the worst thing I've ever read. It wasn't that. It was a bunch of little sentences, and they were back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But he did it in a way where you wouldn't necessarily need the identifier, right? Like, he would say, Ava said this, and then Jeff said this, and then Ava said this, and then Jeff said this. And then he would take out the said, like this person said, and he would have like 20 or 30 quotes back and forth, not identifying who was the one person. But sometimes in those chunks of dialogue, either person could have been saying that sentence. So if I wasn't paying attention in my head to, ping ponging, this person said this person said this person said this, then I was getting confused. And there was one part where I think it was Melody and Jeff were talking, and I kind of gave up. I was like, okay, someone didn't really like this person, or this person was different than this person thought. And then I was like, I don't care. They both were different than both of them thought, so it fits, you know what I mean? But that's where it kind of got me caught up the most.
Okay. I gotcha. I have to take a sidestep here, and I have to say that Melody was a piece of shit and I hated her. She
Yeah,
was
I
so
should have known that was coming.
oh, she was so annoying. But I did get a little bit of gratification with a certain someone dying in the beginning with a name that I dislike. times two.
Gotcha.
Oh, that made my heart a little happy.
So in terms of people dying, there was one there was one
Ah,
person that got me. I mean,
yeah.
it's so funny that that person got me, but they did, and they got me hard. And then throughout the whole thing, I was like, if this person dies, like this other person, if person X dies, I'm done with this whole book. And I'm not gonna tell you, I'll tell you who it is off, but I don't want to give spoilers, so I can't say,
Oh,
but like,
oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
do you? That I wanted to, that I, the one that got me, or the one that I was like, you better not be you.
Oh, the one that got you. I know
Yeah,
exactly who it was.
I'm
The
sure you
one
do.
that the other one that eludes me a little bit. I have a guess, but I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, yeah. I feel like
But
I'm gonna inadvertently give it away.
well,
I'm not gonna
we're
do
not
it
gonna.
right now, but maybe later. If you're paying
I was,
attention, I'm sure Brian will pick it up.
all right. Well,
Um, can we talk about actually, I think I want to first, do you have a favorite character
um,
or a least favorite character? Well, your least favorite's Melody.
yeah, my least favorite would be Melody. I really didn't have a favorite character because each of them had something that bothered me about them. Um, so no, now I think the reason it was like this was because I associated these characters with people that we both know.
Well,
Okay.
that's a terrible thing to do.
I know. So there was a certain person that I thought of that was Melody that we went to high school with.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So it was like every character had that effect. So
Oh,
this
so you
Jeff
weren't picturing the characters, you were just picturing like,
real people and
yeah.
which made it like better and worse at the same time because it
Who did
was
you picture
like
for Jeff?
um okay, so
Without
um
giving names, just descriptors.
um oh God, how do I describe this? Uh he was one of the short weirdos in school. I don't
That
know
gives
if
me
you're
nothing.
I know.
I pictured him as the your redhead, but like
Oh,
with
yeah.
with a thicker build.
Oh, that's so weird. So Melody, I thought of
Oh, hilarious. Also facts.
yeah, right. Ah, but yeah. Okay. Anyways, so I don't know if that kind of like fucked with me with like reading the story if by putting real faces to the characters,
I mean, I think 100%.
it was also slightly gratifying.
Oh, I'm sure. I actually really liked this book. Like I said, there was one point where I was like, oh, okay, this is dragging on a little bit. But other than that, I really dug it. I dug how descriptive he was. I really loved all the characters. And
Okay.
yeah, my favorite character was Anderson for sure.
I knew you were gonna say that.
150%. There was this one part and he was like, let me see if I can find the I take a moment to brace myself before I turn around to see Anderson and Jake standing over a group of motionless corpses. Anderson has a lit cigarette dangling between his fingers and stands as though he was in the midst of a coffee break.
He was kind of a badass.
So Anderson was there was this one quote that he says, and you have to listen to her. She has tits, Anderson adds. So Anderson was this character who was in the military, and so he kind of stumbles upon them and goes about his business. But the way he talks about him, he was totally like he totally reminded me of Sergeant Dan from Forrest Gump.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I could see that. I could totally see that. Oh my God, that's funny.
But I kind of liked I kind of liked the whole ensemble. I will say I did not love Jules. And there was one part in the book where I was like, God, can she just like I hope she gets eaten. Can she just get eaten? Because I just can't with her. Like she didn't really have a personality at all. Like she didn't add anything to the plot. Like she was fine. She is Jeff's girlfriend. And I was just like, I don't know. Like she just had no personality. She has a purpose and she served her purpose, but I was just like, ugh. Um, I did think that it was funny that she rubbed his back in class because do you remember?
Didn't you used to do that?
No, it was
Oh, Jesus.
I also felt like I'm sure that you knew that I was gonna take umbrage with this. I feel like she didn't need to be 16. I feel like she could have been 18 and still in high school. Like even 17, like 17 to me is pushing it. Like I love Buffy and she was 17. I love the Sweep series and Morgan was 17. But like 17 is really pushing it for me, right? But it's still like, I guess. And like the girl in this book is 16. And to me, that's just like, well, why not write her 15? Why not make her 14? Is 13 gross? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
16, it's 16 is a little much for me.
See, and I love that you bring that up because they actually brought that up in the book. I think it was Ava that brought it up. And she's like, doesn't that feel weird to you, you being in 19 and in college and she's 16 in high school? And he's like, no, because when I'm 40, she's gonna be, or excuse me, when I'm 43, she's gonna be 40, and it's not gonna be weird at all.
No, and I
And
completely understand that. But like I prefer my intimate scenes to involve individuals with a more developed prefrontal cortex. You know what I mean? Like how about
yes.
it's not the 3 years that's the problem, it's the fact that one of them is 16. That's the problem for me.
Right. I completely understand that because I have issues with even just reading college-esque books. It's like it's weird. It's just it's no. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
And like I get that there was more to it, but there was like a whole scene in the book that I completely skipped because I was like reading this is making me feel like a creeper.
Yeah. I know exactly which scene you are talking about because I kind of passed that too.
Yeah. Mm. Anyway, yeah, so she was not my least favorite character, but I didn't love her by any chance. Um,
So I have a question for you because I know in all the years that you copied off me in Spanish class,
hilarious.
I don't know if you caught this. So there was a moment where I think it was Anderson that goes via con Dios,
Yeah.
but the way he said it, it was VIA, which means way with God instead of go with God, which is VAYA. So like the whole translation was like fucked up, and I was like, wait, what? What did he just say? Way with God?
Here's the thing, is that if he was like 20 years older, then he could say whatever he wanted, and I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Oh God. I knew you were paying attention to Anderson though, so I was like,
He was
yeah,
my favorite, 100%.
I knew he was going to be.
He's just Rambo
I know.
as like whatever. Um,
But what was your question?
I don't remember. I really don't. Oh,
See,
have you ever thought about like not even just for a zombie apocalypse, but have you ever like wanted to run through a grocery store and just like throw a thing of milk or like just grab all of the first aid supplies you could possibly ever need?
so I can't say that I've wanted to do that, but have I wanted to smash all the eggs? Yes. Yes, I have.
Those poor chickens.
There was one day I was in the grocery store and I was just standing there with a carton of eggs in my hand. And I don't know what happened, but I ended up dropping those fucking eggs.
Did
Like,
you drop them or did you eat them?
No, I dropped them. It was the best part of that day. Oh, anyways. Did you have a favorite quote?
So I wrote down a couple of them, but they weren't so much. Okay, so like first off, I love how within the first couple pages you get to see how witty Jeff is. So like someone says nice hat and he says yours is better. And then someone else says, can't you read? And he says totally illiterate. But he doesn't even look at them. He just answers and then walks, like keeps walking. He doesn't even like pay them any attention. And I thought that that was a fun way of like having us be introduced to the main character, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and then let me see, is Anderson in any of these parts?
Oh, jeez.
I'm just kidding. Oh, there was one part that was disgusting. So I was sitting there reading and I visibly said out loud how disgusting this one sentence was. It says, oh my gosh, are you ready?
I'm ready.
It says, as we accelerate, the black top underneath him grinds off his jeans in a flash before setting to work on his legs, rubbing his skin out on the road behind us in a dark red skid mark. The sound of bone and flesh getting sanded off by coarse black top is something that will never leave me.
Something when I was reading that, I kind of went, ew, that's gross.
Oh, it was
But
so disgusting.
further into the book, there is a part where they're talking about how a zombie looks with his entrails like hanging out, and I was like,
Oh, I know.
oh, it was so gross. Like it,
Or the one where
I
he's talking about like how there was a zombie outside of the glass, like outside of the window, and his one of his eyeballs was like missing. It was just goo running down his face. And he
oh,
was like, I didn't know that like a person could look so mangled. And I was like, what?
oh, the gore was there, the violence was there.
Oh, for
Fucking,
sure.
I was living for it. I was absolutely
Mhm.
living for it, especially when they started like smashing their freaking heads in. I'm sorry, but I I was happy.
I loved there was one part where it was in the very beginning. Well, not the very beginning, it was a couple chapters in. And they were talking about like where to go and what to get, like what it was their first like mad dash to get stuff, right? Like they stayed the night in the high school and then they were like, okay, so what do we need to survive? And so they were like, oh, well, we should go here, we should go here, we should go here. And then so Jeff starts it off and he says, cafeteria is an excellent idea, but I'll tell you this much. I've got some pretty wild stuff in my trunk, I say. Your trunk? Don asks, seeming agitated. Yeah, I have weapons in my trunk. Like what? A katana, a baseball bat, a crowbar, a hockey stick, a bullwhip, a steel pipe. And then someone said, why? Does it matter? Yeah, Ava says, why? Because it makes you look like a psycho.
Well, I mean, it kind of does carrying around a katana and a pipe and a hockey stick and
Would you
oh,
speak like that to Sam and Dean Winchester?
okay, listen, Dean Winchester can carry whatever the fuck he wants,
Just a
okay?
whole dead body. We're like, it's fine. She belongs
It's
there.
it's fine. It's fine. He could freaking yeah. Yep. Whatever he wants. Anyways, next subject. No, I'm kidding.
There was another one that I wrote down, and I don't know why I wrote this one down, but I kind of like it. So it says another distant pop echoes from the distance. Oh, that's why. Because distance, my brain like had a seizure. So it says another distant pop echoes from the distance. And we both instinctually look out, our vision stunted by a black mass of trees that extends endlessly in all directions. And there was nothing like actually wrong with that sentence, but the distant and distance, I was like, wait, wait.
Yeah, I get tongue twisted as it is.
So I feel like it shouldn't be a shocker to anyone, but this book ends on a complete like cliffhanger. And I have to admit, like this is the first book of a series, and I wouldn't like I would be interested in reading the second one. Don't get me wrong. I really liked the way that Bryan wrote it. I dug the fact that he added all those little tiny bits that you wouldn't think about because of the fact that it puts you more like into the story, right? And I think I also loved how cerebral it was because you've said it before how I look too deep into things. And like even on the podcast, like I used to go way too much into analyzing why someone would do this or who someone was and why how they became blah 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 and whatever. But like it's explored in the books without like spelling it out. And I kind of love that. So I would definitely be into reading the second one of this series. But what I will say is that this book was it ended on a cliffhanger and like everyone's asleep inside. Jeff's on the roof with his gun, whatever. He's smoking a cigar, I think. I don't remember. But I love when books or movies or whatever end on cliffhangers and everyone else gets so pissed off. And I think that it is absolutely delicious. Like if the book had ended right there and it had not had a second one, oh, I would have lived for it. Don't get me wrong. I also kind of live for there being a second one because you get to like see more of their story. But man, I love that Schrodinger zombie situation. You know what I mean? Like, do the zombies take over the world? Do the zombies not? Like, oh, do they get out? Do they get saved? Do they not get saved?
And see here, I was just talking and bitching about it. I think it was last week or the week before about things always being left on cliffhangers nowadays. It's like every freaking book is a cliffhanger now, and it's just killing me slowly
Yeah, well,
and
I think it's
surely.
because mostly nowadays, like you have to write sequels, right? Like you can write a standalone, but it's more marketable to have a series. Um, but I don't know, there's something about that complete like boom, no resolution that I just eat it up.
Yeah, I know you do.
There's something that I keep wanting to talk about and I keep not doing it.
What would that be?
Oh, the way that Bryan writes grief, I think is absolute perfection. And I think that the reason why he writes it perfectly is because of the fact that he does that. He cuts to different emotions. He brings us through all of the little like I know that I've taken over this podcast. I'm really sorry.
Oh, you're good, dude. Like, I love how passionate about this you are, especially because I'm the zombie freak of the two. So
Yeah.
this is like emotionally pleasing for me.
But how did you feel about like the grief? Obviously not just there was more than one character, but the way he wrote the grief.
So listen, the moment of guttural screams,
Yeah. Yeah.
tore my
Yep.
heart, tore my fucking heart out, and literally just stopped it. Like, you could not write that better because
Nope.
you literally got all the emotion of the character, and then you just wanted to start crying for that character. And it was awful and great at the same time.
Yeah. And it was incredible because the way that he wrote it, it was like you were feeling it too. And so I don't want to give too many spoilers, but yeah, no, 100%. And there's something, how much I love a complete anguished scream. Like Wanda from WandaVision, she screamed a whole universe into existence. And I feel as though in this book, I feel like if it was something like supernatural or something like a more supernaturally kind of world, I feel like the characters that experience that grief would 100% have like had a visceral reaction. You know what I mean? Like it would have caused something to happen. And it was incredible because I don't know about you. I mean, I'm, I felt it hard.
Yeah. The fact that uh, I've made that scream, yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
It hurt. It hurt. I hate feelings, and
these authors are like literally coming for us with these feelings, and it's awful and it's great, and it's like I hate you and I can't hate you at the same time because your writing is that good that you've literally just made me get emotional, and I fucking hate being emotional. Like I'm literally tearing up right now just thinking about that. And I hate
Yeah.
it. Ugh.
Yeah, I think that I genuinely liked kind of everything about the book other than a couple of things. Like there were a couple of things that I, have mentioned, but other than that, I kind of loved it all. But my favorite by far is the way that he wrote grief. I think he couldn't have written it any better if he tried.
No, he really couldn't. Absolutely agree with you there. So good job, Brian. Way to write grief to rip our heart out.
Way to write a book. So this book was written by Bryan Way, and Life After the Arising is book one of the Life After series. Life After two is Life After the Void. You can get them both. There's actually a ton of them. There's Life After the Cemetery Plot, Life After the Basement, Life After the Phoenix, Life After the Maze. There's a lot going on.
Wow.
Um, um, and you can get them on Kindle Unlimited. Well, you get at least the first one on Kindle Unlimited, or you could buy a paperback version, which is $14.95 at the time of this recording. He is the whole book honestly takes place in Philadelphia, and Bryan is from Philadelphia. And you can find him, like I said, he is one of our friends. He is at the Bryan Way, TheBryanWay on Threads and on Instagram. And I think that you should go check him out.
I second that. And especially if you want your heart ripped out. Hmm.
Dude, 100%.
I'm still wiping away tears. Thank you. So
All
on
right,
that,
Jen.
I was just gonna say on that note, now you got to find out what we're reading next week, which that's always the fun one. So next week we are reading The Sparrow and the Oak Tree by Jamie Jackson,
Yay.
who is also one of our thread friends. I can't say it. Is it themes? Is it
No, it's Threads.
friends?
Threads.
See, I like threaders.
Threaders.
Yeah,
Well, that could be anyone. That's not necessarily your friends.
I know. Well, all right, everybody. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on all the things. And tune in next week for our next review.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We shall see you next week.
What? You
But
didn't even say it right.
I'm sorry. Well, you say it then. You say it perfect.
We will see you next Tuesday.
Ha, cunt. All right. Bye.
Bye.